name is Harry, and I'm from London.
Meghan Markle here.
Today is October 31st, 2025. It is 5:14 a.m. Okay. I should not be recording anything right now because I have a lot to edit. But yesterday afternoon, there have been some things about Andrew that came out. So I want to get these out of the way. I don't know when I'll be editing them. Well, this is the weekend, starting of the weekend. Today is Friday. So I probably will spend most of my free time to edit them. So let's get this going. Okay, so let's start with this. I'll be reading this statement that was put out from Buckingham Palace regarding Andrew's title. And there are other tweets that has that, but I'll not read it again. I'll read it once. Okay, first tweet. The artist formerly known as Prince will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Survivors of abuse always deserve accountability, and that doesn't end with their alleged abusers getting a change of name. Meanwhile, let's see the Epstein file. Okay, so this is the beginning of the crumble. Okay, one thing, some of you, well, if you care, I don't know, but just pay a little attention. The relationship, or not relationship, the parallel, that's the word, the parallel of what's going on with the US and the UK. There is a parallel similarity of things that's going on. The US, I don't know, went straight down really quickly, but the UK is taking its time, little at a time, little at a time. Eventually they will merge, both of them will crumble completely. Okay, so let's see here. Thursday, 30th October 2025, a statement from Buckingham Palace. His Majesty has today initiated a formal process to remove the style, title, and honor of Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. His lease on Royal Lodge has, to date, provided him with legal protection to continue in residence. Formal notice has now been served to surrender the lease, and he will move to alternative private accommodation. These censures are deemed necessary, notwithstanding the fact that he continues to deny the allegation against him. They have to make sure to put that. But yet, he spent that much money to prevent from going to trial with, what's her name? Virginia Giuffre. Their Majesties? Why they put their Majesties? Camilla and Charles? What Camilla has anything to do with that? Their Majesties wish to make clear that their thoughts and utmost sympathies have been and will remain with the victims and survivors of any and all form of abuse. So does that mean they acknowledge there was some sort of abuse that went on? Okay, so let's see some of the comment here. This person is not a squatty, by the way. OBE former Chief Prosecutor, Chancellor, University Manchester, Chair Lonnie Theatre. Okay, so that's his background right here. I don't know who he is. I don't follow him. But a lot of things were popping up on my timeline. His was the first one that I saw. Okay, it's time for others to be looked into. Finally, Charles grew a pair about bloody time. I'm glad the statement has sympathy with all victims of abuse. In case you don't know what Prince Andrew specifically did. 1. He deemed recorded as a passenger on Epstein jet multiple times in 2000 and 2001. He may have introduced a government officer to investigate Virginia Giuffre. He was in a photograph with Giuffre and Ghislaine Maxwell. He can resign from the position of power, but the rat stays with you. A survivor of abuse do deem deserve accountability. All right, let's pause this. Okay. A pity that you, as a senior prosecutor, failed to ensure that it was available to them. All right, so he retweeted this. Certain looks like prior to the end of Stormer's role as DPP, and for all the years prior, those were certainly the reason given by the police and CPS for not prosecuting potential grooming gang perpetrators. Let's go into that. I'll read some of these because this might be something I don't know, and look at this video and then move on to the next. Okay. Hard to imagine that it was just individuals forming their own judgment as opposed to an edict hand down. From this we can assume, I think, that during the main part of Stormer's DPP tenure, it mustn't have crossed his desk, that's the looking at here, or he failed to act earlier. Screenshot source 2014, J report into Rotherham. All right, what is that? In October 2013, the Director of Public Prosecutions at that time, Keir Starmer, revised the CPS guidance on child sexual exploitation to set out a clear agreed approach which prosecutors will take to tackle cases of child sexual abuse. A list of stereotypical behaviors previously thought to undermine the credibility of young victims was included to dispel the associated myths. When bringing a prosecution, these included the victim invited sex by the way they dressed or acted. What? The victim used alcohol or drugs and was therefore sexually available. The victim didn't scream, fight, or protest, so they must have been consenting. Wow. The victim then complained immediately, so it can't have been a sexual assault. Wow. 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 There's that fear of coming out, and when these people come out, look, perfect example, Virginia Giuffre. She came out and did all the things that she did. Look what happened to her. And this is someone, from what I've seen on social media, she wasn't suicidal. Out of nowhere, a bus, okay, of all things, that's what they claim. A bus hit her. And then she survived that. And then all of a sudden, she commits suicide in a hospital. This is why some of those victims are afraid to come forward. Because these people who's using their private part to abuse young kids, those kids are afraid. They don't know who to trust. Okay, the victim then complained immediately, so it can't have been sexual assault. The victim is in a relationship with the alleged offender and is therefore a willing partner. My God, a victim should remember events consistently. And under influence, they drug them to take advantage of their bodies, and then they expect them to remember everything. A victim should remember events consistently. Children can consent to their own sexual exploitation. This is why they wanted to lower the age of consent. Go to PYTE. There's some stuff early 2000, 2001, when I started looking into Harry and Meghan. For some reason, whatever I was searching, I guess I was doing a good job. It directed me to child sexual abuse kind of thing. I was so shocked when I was seeing all this nonsense. Okay, CSE is only a problem in certain ethnic cultural communities. Only girls and young women are victims of child sexual abuse. Children from BME background are not abused. There will be physical evidence of abuse. Oh my God, there's mental, these kind of things you don't see. You don't see the scars. Wow. All of the above elements have been referred to at some point in historic files we read, usually as reason given by the police or the CPS for not pursuing suspected perpetrators. This guidance was welcomed by many of the main organizations, both statutory and voluntary, dealing with CSE. Wow, this is the video.
Absolutely, Karen. If you think about it, you may not know this, but back in 2008, the Home Office sent a circular to all police forces in the country saying, as far as these young girls who are being exploited in towns and cities, we believe that they've made an informed choice about their sexual behavior, and therefore it's not for you police officers to get involved in. If that's the landscape coming from the top down in 2008, absolutely, Karen. If you think about it, you may not know this, but back in 2008, the Home Office sent a circular to all police forces in the country saying, as far as these young girls...
Okay, it's playing over. It's only 23 seconds. My goodness. These are kids. These are kids. They're abusing them when those kids should just be kids. Play around with their friend. Don't worry about, their private part being abused by adult men who have flaunt their body worldwide. And who knows what diseases they're transferring to those kids. Oh my God. These people are evil. All right, let's go to the next tweet. Okay, this is the same thing being retweeted again. I'm not going to read it again. Prince Andrew is now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. 2 weeks after it was announced, Andrew had agreed not to use his Duke of York title. The furor hasn't abated. I started reporting on this a couple weeks ago when... he claimed that he's not going to use his title. So they let it simmer to see how the people will react before Charles could step in. So Andrew proposed that for himself. He's not going to use whatever titles, okay, to see how the people will react. So when they realized, including the media, wasn't playing. There's a couple of videos I've shared where the media really going after the royal family. So now that the barrier, the positive coverage then happened. So that's why Charles had to act. Okay. Or who knows, maybe it's men in gray suit who say, okay, we need to get him out of there. Remove his title. Still, it's nothing. Okay. He has not received any physical pain. This is just a name. They just changed his name and then that's it. He moved on with his life. And putting the statement out, that doesn't do a damn thing. But everything has to take place in Parliament, from my understanding. So this is kind of nothing from my point of view. Please don't come after me. I'm not from the UK. But from my understanding, for anything to be done to remove peerage, has to go through Parliament. And for the Prince title, that will always remain. That will always be with Andrew for the rest of his life. But is the Duke of York or any other titles that he has, that has to go through Parliament. But then put that statement out there, I don't think it's anything. It's just a dog bone, like a squirrel.
You desired squirrel!
Caller, so that I may talk. Squirrel!
To throw out there for the public to chase. I don't know. Oh my God. Prince Andrew is now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. 2 weeks after it was announced, Andrew had agreed not to use his Duke of York title. The furor hasn't abated. After calls for the government to review his list, King Charles will remove all of his titles and honors, but there's a catch. All right, so let's see here. Does it continue? End discussion. Is that... Okay, this is the 17. I didn't see this one before. This is the one that I read, October 30th. Okay, so this one, October 17th. Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, has agreed not to use his York title and accompanying honor and the fallout from his association with Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring. A propose of nothing. Andrew's rape accuser, the late Virginia Giuffre, has a posthumous memoir out next week. All right, so Virginia's brother had come out and talk about it. So let's see here. This one, I haven't come across it. A statement by Prince Andrew. In discussion with the king and my immediate and wider... Oh, yes. I read this in one of my videos. For the sake of this, let's read it again. In discussion with the king and my immediate and wider family, we have concluded the continued accusation about me distract from the work of His Majesty and the royal family, I have decided, as I always have, to put my duty to my family and country first. I stand by my decision 5 years ago to stand back from public life. With His Majesty's agreement, we feel I must now go a step further. I will therefore no longer use my title or the honors which have been conferred upon me. As I have said previously, I vigorously deny the accusation against me. And I think this is where William felt like, because they didn't put his name and this, instead they frame him into wider family. So William went, that's what they say, okay? We don't know that William was kind of upset he didn't mention his name, because William wants to be known that he's doing something really good or something like that. The palace seems disinclined to formalize the loss of Andrew's peerage by an act of parliament. However, he can voluntarily agree to have his name removed from the peerage rolls. If his name is not in the roll, he cannot be referred to as the Duke of York. Okay, I don't know all the rules here. So this one was 12 hours ago. Let's see here. It seems that the process is to strike Andrew's name from the roll of the peerage. This can be done under the royal warrant establishing the roll. This means that he can no longer be referred to the Duke of York. All right, let's see here. Oh, shoot. Okay. Oops. Okay, application to be removed from the roll. Any person who is entered on the roll may apply to our Secretary of State to be removed from the roll. 2. The application shall be made in such form as our Secretary of State may from time to time direct. 3. On such an application being made, our Secretary of State shall cause the applicant to be removed from the roll. Peers not entered on the roll not entitled to precedence of peerage, etc. Any peer who is not entered on the roll shall not A. be entitled to any precedence attaching to his peerage, B. be addressed or referred to by any title attaching to his peerage in any civil or military commission, letters, patent, or other official document. All right. Oh my God, this is a thread that's explaining it. So I'll read it for the sake of knowledge, I guess. Let's like this and retweet it as well. This is information. Who is this guy? Current writing Modern Monarchy to be published by, okay, so this is who he is. Okay, University of London, Opinion Mind. Okay, so he must know what he's talking about. I don't, okay? So this is why I'm reading it. An interesting thought is that the king says he has started the formal process, yet the power to strike someone off the roll arises when the holder of the peerage makes the request. I presume that Andrew has ultimately agreed to do this through gritted teeth. 4. This will not extinguish Andrew's peerage in law as intangible property. They will remain in existence. They can only be removed completely by an act of parliament. Okay, so parliament must take the step to remove him. So this is just word salad. It's like throwing a bone to the people. Say, here, take this and fetch, okay, like the squirrel. But still, he remained what he is. So parliament must act, it seems like. Okay, Beatrice and Eugenie will remain princesses and retain HRH status as their title are derived from the 1917 letter patent in their own right. I'm assuming this has to do with because the Queen Elizabeth, was their grandmother, and the grandmother was the monarch, so that passed down to them as being princess. But why remain the HRH? When I looked at it, not in one of my videos, could have been yesterday, they are not working royals. Beatrice and Eugenie. Let's see here. Let's see here. The question that I asked here, are Princess Beatrice and Eugenie working royals? No, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie are not working royals. They both have private sector careers. Okay? So why they remain HRH? Because Harry, they took his HRH away because he's not working royal. So that's one thing. let's move on. All right, just to make sure, I had to look it up because I remember doing it in one video. Usually, sometimes I forget things, so I just want to fact check myself. All right. What Act 17? Okay, patent. I think this has to do because the monarch, Queen Elizabeth. What is 1970 letter patent? I think it's because the queen was the monarch, so the grandkids remain prince and princesses. Let's see here. The 1917 letter patent is a legal document issued by King George V that redefines who within the British royal family is entitled to the style Royal Highness and the title Prince and Princesses. Okay, so I was right. Okay, so they are not being fair with Harry because Harry is not a working royal. They remove his HRH. Yet, Eugenie and the two York sisters are not working royals, but they remain HRH. And the prince and princess is a giving because it's for life. Okay, I don't even think, I'm not gonna discredit this person who probably know more than I do, but I do believe Andrew is still a prince, despite what they're saying, because his mother was the monarch. Okay, so if his kids can remain princesses, what do you think Andrew will be? He will remain prince. It's just the Duke of York or whatever other titles that he was given or patronages that he was given can be removed, but the prince, I think, can remain. Okay, this is my opinion here. The tweet that I'm reading here from Craig Prescott knows more than I do, but from my puny brain reading things online, I think Andrew is still a prince and will remain prince until he die. Okay, here, let's continue. All right, so I was right about the 1917 letters patent. Okay, 5, Prince Andrew remain a council of state. Okay, so that is someone to Charles if Charles is incapable of making certain decision. Okay, Harry was one of those council of state for Queen Elizabeth, but for some reason for Charles they remove Harry because they claim that he's not working royal. And remember, William kicked Harry out. Okay, so they remove him from all of those decision making. Okay, so if something were to happen to Charles, Andrew can speak on his behalf. Who else? I think William, obviously, because he's the heir, and I think obviously the wife, the horse, what's her name? The one who made Princess Diana's life living hell. She's also council of state to Charles. And there's, I think, Anne. Okay, I'm not sure. I think Anne is one of them. You could look it up. I did look it up in one videos, but I don't remember all of them. Okay, Prince Andrew remains a councillor of state and in line of succession, as these are set by Acts of Parliament. They can only be taken by further legislation. Okay, so all of this, elected officials have to rule on that. If they could remove his peerage, whatever his title, and the line of succession, whatever they're doing to Andrew right now, this is the same step that they need to do for Harry. Okay, remember when Harry was leaving, he said in his docuseries, he told them to take his title away. They didn't do it. So when you're hearing all the derangers, what about your title? What about this? Parliament needs to do its thing. Derangers even did a petition, signed petition to send to Parliament to take Harry's titles away. They ignore it. Okay? So as we see what's happening to Andrew in terms of peerage, titles, and all of that, whatever the derangers or the royal family wants to do, this is the same step for Harry. And this is why every time they put a negative headline about Andrew, they connect him with Harry. Meanwhile, and thank God, in one of the videos I've already edited and made public, there was one particular presenter who literally put one of the royal rats in his place and said, do not compare Harry with Andrew. Finally, somebody said that. Because the behavior of Harry and Andrew completely, it's night and day. Nothing close to being the same. But for some reason, because the men in gray suit, the palace don't like Harry because Harry wants to do things. He has his head on his shoulder. He doesn't want men in gray suit to direct him into the ditch. So because of that, they hate him for it. Meanwhile, Andrew, who's doing all those negativity, and then they made him feel like as long you have positive coverage, meaning Andrew, you should be okay. And they forget people have their own mind, their senses, their eyes, their ears. They could see and read stuff, even though you're trying to blind them. So this is what Andrew is facing here. Despite the tabloid was writing positive coverage for him, but people's not being fooled. This is the complete parallel. Not parallel because they're not the same. The difference between Harry and Andrew and probably the rest of the royal family, because Harry did not want those men in gray suit to dictate his life. Okay, when he was young, okay, he was a minor. Yes, they had to make decisions for him. But once he became an adult, he took charge, especially after he married. Okay, let's continue. I went off a little bit. Sorry. All right, Prince Andrew remained a council of state and the line of succession. As these are set by acts of parliament, they can only be taken by further legislation. Any change to the succession requiring the consent of the other nation where the king is head of state. Okay, so I guess the Commonwealth, that Canada, Jamaica, all the other places. Okay, sick. I didn't even know all of this. All right. As it seems that no legislation will be introduced to remove the peerages, it's vanishingly unlikely that legislation will be used to remove this position from Andrew. Yeah, they just threw a bond. That's what I see. The letter that Charles sent, made public, is just a bond they threw to the public who's complaining. Okay. This position from Andrew, he won't act as Councillor of State. 2 of William, Anne, and Edward will. Okay. 2 of William and Anne. Okay, so these are the other one. Edward is one of the, Councillor of State. 7, he's also now 8th in the line of succession, but there is a little wrinkle here. Under the Regency Act 1937 through 1953, if Prince George become king before his 18th birthday. Wow. What does that say? Regency. George become king. So that means Charles will have to die, William have to die, or abdicate or something like that. Okay, what is this? Let me look it up. Oh my God, I'm gonna have probably two videos. What is that? Okay, the Regency Act 1937 through 1953 are UK laws that provide for the appointment of a regent or councillor of state if the reigning monarch is unable to perform their duties due to being a minor. Okay. So they say, the guy is saying here, the guy that's on Twitter saying that if George become the monarch and he is a minor, he's not 18 yet, so people could make decision for him. And oh my God, that image, oh my Lord, I did point out a while back where the horse was looking at George in a funny way. Are they planning to do something drastic? So they put a minor there so the others could just, oh my God, control the monarchy while the young one is a minor? Oh my God, this is going to be devastating. I mean, I said it as nothing, as an opinion back then. I'll show you the image that I'm talking about. Okay, being temporarily absent or being permanently incapacitated, the Regency Act 1937 established the general framework, while the Regency Act 1943 and 1953 made amendments, notably to allow heirs to be Councillor of State at 18. Okay, so which means if something were to happen, George can be Councillor of State, but they will bump Andrew out, and George will be probably take his place. I don't know. I'm just saying. and also specify the Duke of Edinburgh as a potential regent under certain circumstances, and added the Queen Mother to the list of Council of State. All right, so there's more. You could look it up, okay? I don't want my video to focus on that. I was just curious, okay? And I'm sharing it with you. All right, so that's that here. I didn't want to go into it. Okay, 8. Prince Andrew will be the regent as the first in line, domicile in the UK, over 21, but perhaps Prince Harry will come back in such circumstances, and if there is a risk of this when William become king, Parliament can consider this then. Harry is the only well-minded blood royal. The people in the palace do not want that. They want to continue with their their unethical behaviors. But this is what's costing them, their unethical behavior. That's costing them the position that they are in. I truly believe, I'm repeating myself from past videos, I truly believe these people, those blood royal, with the exception of Harry, they do not understand and appreciate the privilege that they have. Because if they did and understand it, their behavior would have been completely different. Because once the people, okay, the Brits start screaming foul and want them out, where are they going to go? Which country will want to house them? Because the UK have spread vile throughout the world. Where are they gonna go? Which country is gonna take the risk of housing them? What was it in one video, or maybe it was just me searching, the former king of Spain who abdicated due to some unethical things, money laundering, those kind of thing. He abdicated, where his son is now the king of Spain, and he is reside somewhere in the Middle East. Maybe this is where some of the British monarchy will go. But I will keep a very cautious for the Middle East, because while they probably, they go and reside in the Middle East, they still have their people doing damages. What's going on in Palestine? So they better be careful. I mean, what the UK Charles William is doing, it's not gonna look good for the rest of the British royal family, with the exception of Harry, because he jumped the ship while the thing was burning and carved his own path, completely 360 from the royal family. So at least the rest of the world will have pity for him, which they do. That's a different story. But let me finish with this. And official documents only, of course, absence from the roll of peerage does not affect other references. All right, so that was a decent thread. Okay, the palace also announced that Andrew will vacate Royal Lodge. 2 questions. How much was paid to break his list, and by whom? How quickly will Prince William and Kate declare that the Royal Lodge will be theirs forever home? Okay, so that's that. Let's not forget about that. All right. I think I'm going to stop this video here. I'll start another one, a part 2, because I'm already 30 minutes. All right, please take a moment to subscribe, like, and share. If you want to support this channel, there's a PayPal link and a Cash App link in the description. You could donate. Those who have donated, thank you. And it is in this video where one of the presenters called the other one out and said, do not bring Harry into this mess of Andrew. Okay, so let's start video 2.
It is a great privilege to be with all of you today.
You know, we ask for forgiveness and please come back.
As you saw me find the love and happiness that I'd hoped for all my life. You are all in this together, and if I may speak personally, we are all in this together, because asking for help was one of the best decisions that I ever made. You will be continually amazed how life changes for the better.